Can you imagine pouring your heart and soul, sacrificing your own life, to help someone only to find out they were playing you for a fool all along? Because that's exactly what happened to me with my stepdaughter. I changed my entire work schedule, took the night shift, just to be there for her during the day after her accident. But one morning, coming home early, I overheard a phone call that shattered everything. It wasn't just a conversation, it was a dagger to my heart. And what I did next, well, it tore her family apart. Okay, so let me back up a little. My stepdaughter, let's call her Sarah, is 22. She's been living on her own since college, working her own job. I've known her for about 5 years, married to her dad for 3. When I first met her dad, Sarah was still reeling from her parents' divorce, which had happened just 2 years prior. So, yeah, there was friction. She was cold, distant. She wasn't ready for her dad to move on. But over time, we actually started to get along. Things were fine. Until they weren't. A few months ago, Sarah visited, and she had this huge blow-up with my husband. He told me about it later. She was just taunting him, accusing him of being a workaholic, saying he ruined his marriage with her mom. Look, I get it. In his first marriage, my husband was a workaholic. He owned a business, worked himself to the bone.
Why?
Because his ex-wife, Sarah's mom, was a massive spendthrift. She wanted this lavish lifestyle, and to provide it, he had to work constantly. They were high school sweethearts, married for years, but she just couldn't handle the reality that luxury meant long hours. Or, maybe she could have adjusted her expectations. Her family, her parents, were always taunting him, too, about how much she spent and how little time he spent with her. It was a vicious cycle that eventually just broke them.
Now, with me,
he's a completely different man. He's not a workaholic anymore. He spends so much time at home with me. I never feel neglected. So, for Sarah to blame him entirely for the failure of his first marriage? It just wasn't fair. Her mother had a massive role to play in that mess. After that fight, things were super tense.
Sarah pretty much stopped visiting.
But then, the accident happened. She twisted her ankle, needed care. And, she had to move in with us. Apparently, her mom was away on a work assignment and wouldn't be back for a month. My husband heard about it, and honestly, I felt bad. I really did. I saw it as a chance to fix things. My husband even offered to hire a nurse for her, but I insisted on switching to the night shift.
Me.
So I could be home during the day, taking care of her. I genuinely believed that spending time with her, just us, would fix all the problems we've been having. I wanted to heal our relationship. Boy, was I wrong. So incredibly, unbelievably wrong. Just a couple of days after she moved in, after I had been so nice to her, taking care of her every need, I came home early from work. It was morning quiet. I was about to check on her when I heard voices. Her voice. And then, I heard her talking about me. And my husband. Calling us fools and idiots. Laughing. With her mom. My heart just dropped. I could have confronted her right then. But something, a gut feeling, told me to pull out my phone. And I hit record. A few seconds later, she started talking about applying for new jobs, but no hurry. She was ready to fake this injury for as long as needed.
Why?
Because she was sick of me getting the life that she and her mother had deserved. That was it. The entire picture snapped into focus. It was all a lie. I felt sick. I snuck out of the house, called my husband immediately. I explained everything, sent him the recording. He was absolutely furious. Absolutely livid. He said he was coming home right away. Within half an hour, he was there. We walked into her room, together. He looked at her, his own daughter, and just flat out asked, "Are you faking your injury?" She immediately started denying it. Her life depended on it. I looked at her, my voice probably cold, and told her, "Don't even try to lie." That's when she launched into me, accusing me of trying to ruin her relationship with her father. Oh, I knew that was coming. I simply played the recording. The color drained from her face. She was caught. She sputtered out a few lame excuses, then finally admitted it. The injury?
Fake.
The real story? She'd been fired from her job weeks ago for insubordination. She'd shown up drunk. She didn't want the lectures. She had enough money for a couple more months' rent, but why waste resources when she could live for free? She'd originally wanted to stay with her mom, but EX was, get this, living with a new boyfriend after only 3 months of dating. They needed privacy. So, Sarah's mom wasn't on a work assignment. She was just busy with her new guy. And together, they cooked up this entire story. The fake injury, the work assignment, everything. All so Sarah could live with us, rent-free, no questions asked, with me at her beck and call constantly. Honestly, she was right. We were fools. We focused on emotions, on helping, when we should have been judging her behavior. Me especially. I went out of my way, and it was for nothing. I felt like a complete and utter idiot. She started apologizing, saying she didn't mean to hurt us, just needed a place to crash. Didn't want her dad to think she was irresponsible, didn't want him to think badly of her mom for not taking her in. She apologized to her father, but he wasn't having any of it. He told her straight, "If you had come to me with the truth, yes, I would have lectured you. But I still would have helped you. I would have let you stay, helped you find a new job." But after that phone call, after the lies, after the way she talked about us, there's no chance of that happening now. You're not staying here. She tried to beg him, but his mind was made up. I didn't say a word. The betrayal, the pure audacity of what she'd planned, the things she said on that call, that she deserved the life I had, that she'd stay as long as possible just to spite me. It was too much. That's when she turned on me, screaming, "You're responsible for all of this. You're going to be responsible for my husband's downfall when he realizes what a huge mistake he's making by choosing you over his family." Oh, that hit a nerve. Her mom had always been the selfish one, constantly hurting him. And now Sarah was following suit. I lost it. I had been nothing but kind, helpful, sacrificing. And she just took advantage. I told her, "I'm not surprised you and your mother cooked something like this up. It's clear you're both freeloaders who will never learn. Lazy. Self-centered." I told her it was one thing for her mother, his ex, to not care about him anymore. But for his own daughter? It's appalling you don't care about him either. All you care about is his money, just like your mother did. I called her a gold digger. You most definitely are, and so was your mom. No wonder your husband left her, and honestly, I think he should leave you behind too. You don't value him. Then I went a step too far. I said, as long as I'm in his life, I will make sure they never get to take advantage of him again, even if that means making sure he cuts his daughter out of his life forever. I said it in the heat of the moment. I don't think I really meant it, and it's not like I can force it. But after that, Sarah just went quiet. She shut her door. The next morning, before we even woke up, she was gone. We thought the drama was over. It was just beginning. Now, we had the ex-wife to deal with. She's been vindictive ever since the divorce, where she didn't get alimony despite trying to portray herself as a hard-working stay-at-home mom. She had a full-time housekeeper that my husband worked overtime to afford. So, yeah, she got nothing, and she's been bitter. As soon as she heard what I said to Sarah, she went nuclear. She started demanding I apologize, saying I had no right to speak to her daughter that way, that I wasn't part of the family, and should have stayed out of it. Like, seriously? I don't even know what she's on. I am family. I've been family since I started dating my husband. We've blocked her, but she still finds ways to contact us, trying to get an apology. My husband, bless his heart, he's divided. He agrees with the truth of what I said, but he thinks the cut her out comment was too controlling. He understands why Sarah took it so hard. And, honestly, I get where he's coming from. Update 1. After all of your comments and just time to process, my husband and I actually sat down to talk. I told him I probably did go a little too far with that one line, but I wasn't apologizing to anyone. And he said that was completely fine. After everything that had happened, he didn't think I needed to. If anything, Sarah needed to apologize to me. I was the one who switched my work schedule, went out of my way to be there for her, even though he'd offered to hire a nurse. I tried to fix things. She threw it all back in my face. He admitted that what I said about her turning into her mother, he didn't want that. Sarah's always been spoiled, entitled. He loved her, but he couldn't deny it. He put up with it because he loved her, but eventually, it became intolerable. He started breaking down, telling me he tried so hard to make Sarah a good person, but it felt like his ex-wife was just undoing all his hard work. He even blamed himself, thinking if he'd spent more time with them, maybe Sarah would be different now. It broke my heart, because it's not his fault. He was providing. He had to work hard to ensure his wife didn't have to beg her parents for money, especially after all the humiliation he'd faced from her family. His ex-wife should have realized their income didn't support the luxury she craved, or at least appreciated his efforts. Instead, she was ungrateful, demanding more. More time, more money. If she had been understanding, maybe her daughter would have been, too. Maybe their marriage would have worked. I told him he couldn't hold himself responsible. It was his ex-wife. She was doing all of this, and Sarah was just blindly following. Even now, Yex had a chance to be a good mother, to guide Sarah. But instead, she's filling her head with messed up ideas. Sarah needs guidance, but her mother isn't providing it. She's just messing things up. Sarah needs to realize her mother doesn't have her best interests at heart. She's only using her daughter as a weapon against her ex-husband. It was a bitter pill to swallow, but it was the truth. So, Sarah could either come back, apologize, and mend things, or she could stay with her mother and live in that toxicity. I know she probably felt betrayed by her father leaving her mother for me, but I'm so different from Yex. We decided to ignore the ex-wife and Sarah's current outbursts. There was no point arguing. Update 2. About 3 weeks passed. Then, Yex showed up at our door, demanding to know why we were ignoring her. I opened it. I told her straight up, neither my husband nor I are interested in speaking to you. She didn't leave. She just pushed past me, right into my house, yelling for my husband. It was so disrespectful. I immediately told her off. This was my house. She had no right to push me around. That set off a whole argument. She was yelling that it was between her and her ex-husband, about her family, and I had no right to talk to her, just like I had no right to talk to Sarah the way I did. Before my husband even made it to the living room, I was already going at it with her. I told her, this used to be your house. This used to be your family. But I'm married to your ex-husband, and I am very much a part of this family. And in case you forgot, I was the one taking care of your daughter while she was faking her injury. So, yeah, I earned the right to say whatever I wanted. The argument would have gone on forever, but my husband intervened. He told her to leave. He had nothing to say to her. He didn't want to hear from her. She totally freaked out then, screaming about how unfair he was, how his priority should be his daughter, not me. He didn't even respond. She just ran out of steam, cursing at us before she finally left. We weren't really affected by her tantrum, but then she said something that absolutely solidified everything I'd been saying. She yelled, I'm going to make sure my husband spends the rest of his life without his daughter now, as a punishment. That was it. That was the proof. She didn't care about Sarah. She just wanted to use her as a weapon to punish her ex-husband. After that interaction, we knew we had to talk to Sarah. We explained it all. Her mother was using her for revenge. Out of anger and resentment, Sarah was letting herself be used. I urged my husband to pour his heart out, to let Sarah truly understand his perspective. Sometimes kids need to see their parents as normal people, not just on a pedestal. And he did. He talked about his struggles, the money, his ex-wife, how hard he tried to make it work. He admitted he wasn't perfect, spent less time than he should have. He understood why she felt distant. But he also told her that if her mother truly had her best interests at heart, she would never have encouraged her to lie like that. It was petty manipulation. He put it all out there. And then we waited. Days passed. We almost gave up hope. But then, a couple of days ago, she responded.
She was so sorry.
Apologized for behaving like a brat, said she'd been feeling lost since the divorce. Even in her teens, it had been hard. The realization that her father had changed for me, but not her mother, had made her feel like their family wasn't worth much to him. She acknowledged she was lost, and her mother's advice had been wrong. In the past few weeks, she and her mom had been fighting constantly over this. She was so confused. But after reading her dad's message, the guilt hit her like a ton of bricks. She wanted a second chance. So, we invited her over for dinner this weekend to sort it all out. And dinner? It went surprisingly well. She showed up on time, with a beautiful bouquet of flowers for me and 4 boxes of chocolates. A bit overboard, maybe, but I appreciated the gesture. As soon as she was inside, she started apologizing to both of us. Then, she and her dad had this tearful hug. She just couldn't stop apologizing. I even teared up a little. It felt like a real family moment. Then she opened up. The past couple of weeks after she'd left, she hadn't actually been living with her mother. Her mom had made it clear she was living with her boyfriend and wanted privacy. So Sarah had been staying with a friend, applying for jobs, talking to her mom on and off. She'd really thought about what I'd said in the heat of the moment. And even though I was ready to apologize for being harsh, she told me, "You don't need to apologize. Every word you said was true." That's why it hurt so much. When she finally had that realization, she thought about reaching out. But her mother forbade her. That's when the fighting started between them. Sarah suspected she was being used, and her dad's message confirmed it. She decided then and there that she was cutting her mom out of her life. It was just too toxic. She couldn't truly make amends with us while her mother was still involved, constantly stirring the pot. She even told us that during the divorce, her mother had been brainwashing her against her dad, painting him as uncaring, saying he'd rather go out with other women. That's why she'd been so unhappy when my husband started dating me. And when she did start getting along with me, her mother got angry, doubling down on how terrible her father was, pushing them further apart. Her mom took advantage of the distance already there because my husband was so busy with work.
But now,
they're planning on patching things up. I'm so happy for them. She apologized to me too. There's no bad blood. Honestly, she's so much younger than me. I can't hold it against her. She was just so manipulated. What would you have done in my shoes when you overheard that phone call? Would you have hit record? Let me know in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts.